Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will begin promptly at 6 p.m. when everyone is seated. It looks like we're almost there. I would like to welcome everyone to the 2022 American Legion Post 68 Lyon County Candidate Forum. My name is Bob Chaplin. I'm commander of the American Legion Post 68 in Catawba, and I'll be your moderator and facilitator this evening. Dee Robinson, our post chaplain, will be introducing the candidates, and our timekeeper this evening is Gary Thomas. Our participating honor guard includes Ed Dukes, Bill Stalter, Mike Jameson, and Paul Sanchez. Please stand and remove your hats for invocation by our chaplain.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this forum. Help us to engage in a meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds in our community. Amen.
Please remain standing for our colors by the American Legion Honor Guard. Honor Guard, post the colors. Stop here. No further. Right there. Right there. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Post the color. Thank you. You may be seated. My responsibility tonight is to provide an orderly and efficient forum where the candidates who have been chosen to participate can tell us something about themselves, the office that they want to represent you, and answer questions that you have provided. We have seen in the national news great unrest at school boards, local councils, even the United States Congress, which is why events such as this are so important. It gives the public a chance to see and hear the candidates, know their values, and how they will act and what their priorities are in office. A few operating principles and an explanation before we begin. All candidates for all races were asked to participate. Some have no challengers, some will face primary race challengers, and some will face general election challenges. But all were contacted and invited to meet you tonight. Questions used in tonight's forums were submitted and reviewed. Any questions submitted to one candidate will be asked of all candidates running for that office. In the event of an emergency, the exits are behind you and either side. So hopefully we won't need to use those. You are asked not to applaud until the very end of the forum. Please ensure that your cell phones are on silent, and should the candidates choose to remain at the conclusion of the forum, you are welcome to come up, meet them, and address them. And those of you that are just arriving, please come on in and have a seat. Candidates, when you're called to the podium, please adjust the microphone so you are comfortable using it. After you are called to the forum, you will have 5 minutes to make your introductory statement. State your priorities and the goals of the office that you are seeking. At 4 minutes and 30 seconds, our timer will signal Dee, and she will say, please summarize. When your time is up, you may return to your seat, and she will introduce the next candidate. If your time is up and you continue to talk, we will ring a bell to remind everybody that your time is really up. Questions will be asked to each of you running at the same time. They're running for the same office. You are called to the chairs by the podium based on a list and a program, and then asked to speak. Dee now will call the candidates to the podium.
Good evening. I would like to introduce the candidates that are here this evening. When I call your name, if you would please stand. 6th District, State Representative Chris Freeland. Candidates running for Judge Executive, Jamie Green, Jenny Parent Frank. Property Valuation Administrator, Christy Cruz. Running for Sheriff, Brent White. Homer Lady. Jailer, Steve Galusha. Elijah Thorpe. County Clerk, Lori Duff. District Judge, 56th District, 2nd Division, Natalie White. Matt Schlock, 56th District, 1st Division. Brandon Noth, 56th District, 1st Division. Jennifer Nelson, 56th District, 1st Division. First, I would like to introduce you to our District 6 State Representative, Chris Freeland. Although he's not running with any opposition this year, he wanted very much to come and address the audience. Please come up to the podium, Mr. Freeland.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you, everybody. My opponent was too scared to come tonight, so no, it's an honor to serve as a state representative for Lyon County and for Marshall County and McCracken County. And we just got home, actually. We just finished up the session this last week, and I think it was a good session for our counties, for our citizens. Did some historic things, historic funding, and had some one-time monies to spend. And I think we did that wisely, as wisely as could, I think. One of the important things we tried not to do as a House caucus was to incur debt or have recurring monies that would be spent. So it'd be one-time funds that could really make a difference. And we invested heavily in the pension funds to try to catch those back up, historical funding in public education. And also we had to do redistricting, which was a pretty big fight. And the House budget, which actually the greatest thing about it is that even after we spent all the money, put funding where it was needed to go, and some really nice things, we were able to still have about $1.4 billion left in the budget for the rainy day fund, and have a tax cut of a 0.5 percentage point with a plan that puts a formula in place to eventually get rid of the income tax in Kentucky, the 5% income tax. So that was something we're very proud of. Here locally, I think one important thing that didn't get a lot of press, but it's certainly important, as Judge White and anybody here in this county that works in the judicial system could tell you, is adding an extra circuit judge to the 56th District for Lyon County, Caldwell County, Livingston, and Trigg. That's going to make a huge difference in the number of cases and how those cases are adjudicated here in this county, and it will help out the county's budget. And also with the per diem for the counties, we were able to add an extra $4 for inmates. And also for the tornado victims, I know Lyon County was impacted. My home county in Marshall was impacted. We had House Bill 5, which took $200 million, and we'll put it towards the rebuilding efforts, the cleanup efforts that the counties and cities and agencies have incurred, and will help the tax dollars, obviously, and will help communities. It helps speed that process and keeps that process continuing. Because a lot of the FEMA dollars, who knows when our counties will actually receive those dollars. So this just kind of fills that gap and will help in many big ways. So Also, the Asian carp, I know Judge White, that's a priority issue of his. Just saw the numbers. It was 9.5 million pounds taken out of Kentucky, the Asian carp, and over 8 million pounds in Lake Barkley and Kentucky Lake. So that's pretty amazing, the job that our commercial fishermen are doing. And we still need to do some work in that area to take away some of the barriers they're facing and help incentivize that even more to make sure that program is sustainable and make sure that all the good that has been done continues to be done for tourism, for our property taxes, for everything involved. But anyway, I won't take up too much time. Thankfully, I don't have an opponent this session, so I'll leave the time for our other candidates.
But you do have questions.
Oh, questions? Okay.
You scoot here, I'll do your first one. Your first question. The lakes are a large financial source of income for Kentucky. What ideas do you have to keep this revenue stream going?
Well, it is. It's a huge revenue stream for our counties, and for Lyon County and for Marshall County, it's enormous. It's a second industry. And of course, we've just mentioned the Asian carp eradication and keeping that controllable. We also tourism dollars. Of course, the tourism industry was heavily impacted over the last few years because of COVID and the economic shutdown that was a result of it. So we took some ARPA funds, the House and Senate, it was $75 million that will be distributed to the local districts to help with tourism. Also, the property values, I mean, that was important. We fought hard to hold back. It was a sales tax that would have been implemented on our boat docks and boat slips, so we kept that from happening. And some other efforts that would actually have negatively impacted tourism. The state was looking for more ways to generate revenue, so we made sure that it wasn't with our tourism-related businesses, especially here locally. That would have been detrimental. But a lot of the things, just looking for incentives for our tourism industry, and that's certainly something important to me.
Okay. Question number 2. What are your plans to attract more industry to our district?
Well, we mentioned making our state more attractive is one thing for industry to move here, and to do that, we need a tax system that is attractive and is competitive with states like Tennessee. I mean, you look at Tennessee, Kentucky and Tennessee back in 1950s, we're pretty equal as far as population, economic development, and since then, they have just taken off much faster than Kentucky has. They're growing at a much faster rate. Their economy is much stronger. And you got to think a lot of that is due to not having any income tax. And you look at the border from just south of us here, and take Clarksville, where it goes into Kentucky. I mean, you can look at it on Google Maps at night. It is just totally lit up, and Kentucky's dark. And those people, a lot of them work in Kentucky, but they live in Tennessee because of the income tax. You take our military families, whenever they retire, they would love to retire and live in Kentucky. And a lot of them do, but most of them will actually choose another state as their home state, and you can't blame them because of the 5% income tax. So I think that's a huge part of it.
Last question. How do you handle a bill brought forth in legislation that has the majority endorsement of your party leadership when you receive numerous calls and emails from your own constituents who are in total disagreement?
That does happen. I can think of a few different bills that happens with, and a lot of that, you have to dig into the issue itself. Sometimes someone will just be against something because of something they see on Facebook, and if you really read into the bill, if you talk to the people on why it's needed, it's not such a bad thing, or it is a good thing. You know, if leadership is for something like the library bill that was just passed. That was something that leadership was for, and I voted against it. So it's not always choosing with them. They don't pressure you, thankfully, to do anything that's bad for your district. And sometimes bills that really don't have any impact in our district, but maybe helps another district, because what we vote on is statewide. So sometimes you will help another district that doesn't, if it doesn't negatively impact your district, you don't mind to vote for something that will help another district, because you need that favor when there's something that's good for our district.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Will the candidates for Lyon County Judge Executive, Jamie Green and Jenny Parent Frank, please come up? Please take a seat. Ms. Green, would you come first? You have up to 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Green, and I'm running for Lyon County Judge Executive on the Republican ticket, or as a Republican candidate for the office of Lyon County Judge Executive. And I first want to thank Post 68 for hosting this tonight, for this forum, and I appreciate all the time that you all have put into this and to make this happen tonight. So what exactly is Judge Executive, or County Judge Executive? According to the Kentucky County Judge Executive Association, the County Judge Executive shall be the chief executive of the county and shall have all the powers and perform all the duties of an executive and administrative nature vested in or imposed upon the county or its physical county by law or by agreement with any municipality or other subdivision of government, and such additional powers as are granted by the physical court. The county judge executive shall be responsible for the proper administration of the affairs of the county placed in his or her charge. So just some examples or duties of the county judge executive. They provide for the execution of all the ordinances and resolutions of the physical court. They execute all the contracts that are entered into by the physical court. They have to have a good working relationship with those magistrates, and we currently have 3. They provide for the execution of all laws by the state subject to enforce him or her, or by the officers who are under his or her direction and supervision. We prepare and submit to the physical court an administrative code. We furnish the physical court with information concerning operations of the county, the departments, the boards, the commissions, any necessary information for the physical court to exercise its powers or what is requested by the physical court. We require all officials, elected or appointed, whose offices utilize county funds, and all boards, special districts, and commissions, they have to submit a budget to the physical court as well. We also prepare and submit a budget to the physical court, and we have to administer the provisions of that budget when it is passed by the physical court. We keep the physical court fully advised of the financial condition and the needs of the county. We exercise with approval the physical court and the authority to appoint, supervise, suspend, and remove county personnel if necessary. And one of the last things, with the summary and with the approval of the physical court, we make appointments to remove members from boards, commissions, and designated administrative positions. Some of the goals and objectives that I see for Lyon County if I was elected as your next Lyon County Judge Executive. Economic development. I'd like to partner and work with our local businesses and industries to see how we can potentially grow in these areas. I want to build a relationship with the city of Eddyville and the city of Catawba to accomplish their goals along with the county's goals. Infrastructure. I want to continue to discuss and formulate a plan with the internet providers to increase the internet coverage countywide. I want to communicate with our local boards, such as the Water District, the Tourism Board, the Fire District, the Library, the Health Department Board, Lyon County EMS, Riverport, etc., on current and future projects. Parks and recreation. I want to continue to look for ways to keep Lee S. Jones a great place for our youth to play sports, for our community to host events and tournaments, and for our public to enjoy a nice place to visit and to relax. Tourism. I want to continue to partner with our local tourism boards to showcase this great county and what all it has to offer, including its rich history. Fiscal responsibility. I want to continue to seek out funding and grants to accomplish the goals and the tasks of the county through contacts that I've made over my 20 plus years of governmental experience. And I want to use my prior budgeting experience to appropriately manage and utilize county funds. That is the office of Lyon County Judge Executive.
Please summarize.
The reason why I feel that I'm the best candidate, or I would think that you should vote for myself or vote for me in this office, I have over 20 years of governmental experience. I've been instrumental in receiving $2.3 million in grant funds for this county, and I will continue to do that as well. And I humbly ask, and I appreciate your time, and I ask for your vote on May 17th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Ms. Frank, would you please come up?
Good evening. I am Jenny Frank, and I am so thankful that you guys are here. I just want to thank you, the voters, for being here, because something that's very important to me is active citizenship, and that's exactly what you guys are exercising tonight. It is important to me that you take the time to know who you're voting for and why. The candidate who best aligns with your ideas, beliefs, and goals for Lyon County is who you should vote for. And I'm so thankful that you're taking the time tonight to find out who that person is and who aligns with what goals you have for Lyon County. As a sixth-generation Lyon Countyan raising the seventh generation here in Lyon County is my home, but it's more than that. It's a legacy that I want to leave behind. My daughter just walked in. The county that we see today is her tomorrow, and I want to make sure that it's a county worthy of her wanting to come back to. So that's one of my main motivations for running. I am a small business owner. Many of you know I opened a business here in Eddyville. It is a sort of a tribute to my great-grandfather, Willis Town, who owned a store in Old Eddyville before it was flooded to make Lake Barkley. He himself was a politician in our county, so I feel like it runs in my blood a little bit. And that's what makes me excited to make a difference here in Lyon County as well. Many of you think I'm just a small business owner, and that's all I've done. But I want to fill you in a little bit about my experience. Over the past 2 decades or more, I have been a commodity merchandiser in the field of agriculture. I have worked with farmers to sell their grain on the Chicago Board of Trade. I've helped them negate risk with their operations. Not only that, I've worked in the food manufacturing industry, where I was some of the top 5 employees hired to bring in a German company to Dyersburg, Tennessee. That speaks volumes for what small towns can do for economic development. I served as I walked into a spec building. It had dirt floors, there was nothing in it. And when I moved back to Lyon County, I left that building and it was manufacturing food for multiple major companies, including Dollar General, Aldi, just companies that you know. And I was on that team. And so I have that experience to serve our county. Some of the top 5 things that I want to see impacted in our county is infrastructure. Affordable internet to every citizen in Lyon County is not an option. It's a requirement. I believe that I'll talk about small business and industry. The ideas that I have for growth cannot happen without internet. So I commit to seeking out every opportunity and working with our ARPA funds and putting those things in line, seeking out money from House Bill 315, making sure that our county receives that money to put towards internet. Not just internet, we have previous administrations have done a great job with our roads, and I commit to seeing those things and making sure that they stay in order and are providing our community in a way they need to. Small business and industry, I've touched on that a little bit. I won't harp on that. I'm a small business owner myself. I know what it takes to run a business. I run mine every day. So I know what it means to stick to a budget. I know what it means to make a budget and be profitable. tourism, I want to join hands with our county tourisms. It's very important that our Lake Barkley tourism and our Catawba tourism work together. Lyon County is only successful when we all work together to achieve our goals. Active citizenship, that's what you guys are doing here tonight. Being behind our county officials, supporting one another, beautifying our homes, making sure that we prioritize our county is what active citizenship is.
Please summarize.
Okay. And then finally, our next generation. As I told you, my daughter is here. She's 3. She just came from soccer practice. This park here at Lee S. Jones, it's going to be where she grows up. I'm certain of it. And so it would be my honor to serve you as the next Lyon County Judge Executive. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you Post 68 and the Herald Ledger for covering this stuff. Thank you so much.
Right there.
Okay.
We'll get your questions for you.
Okay.
Your first question. You've been elected at the end of your first term. What will you consider to have been your greatest accomplishment?
I think it's easy to say internet. Affordable internet will be what I prioritize, making sure that our Lyon County citizens have internet for work, for school. I think it's important to realize that we live in a day and age where people are moving into Lyon County, and a lot of times their jobs require the internet. People don't have to work in an office all the time now. So having that internet will secure that our county continues to grow.
What do you propose to do to bring industry into this county that will bring jobs and keep our young citizens here?
We're thankful to be part of the Lake Barkley Partnership, and that allows us to work directly with an economic director who is exposed to countless opportunities across our state. She knows that inside and out, and I would work with her, partner with her to evaluate our industrial park and see how we can be a support to that. She is in front of a lot of folks across the state, so being able to work with her, see opportunities, and see what we can do to fit into those opportunities.
Thank you. Your last question. What will you do to continue to follow up on carp control with state and federal funding?
This has been a major issue for our county and for the current administration, and I would commit to making sure that the right people are in the right seat in order to continue this initiative, to seek funding for this initiative, and also to reach out to current folks who are serving in a way to get their feedback and see where we can do better and continue to grow there.
Ms. Green? You've been elected, and at the end of your first term, what will you consider to be your greatest accomplishment?
I, too, will consider the greatest accomplishment will be the internet. To complete that project, that is a major project. During the pandemic, we had a lot of students that didn't have internet. They had to have packets taken home. They couldn't complete their work. We also have people who were working from home that couldn't complete their job tasks because they did not have the internet. So as one of my greatest accomplishments that I want to see done is the internet for the county, countywide, not taking the county and dividing it up into sections, but for everyone in Lyon County to have affordable internet.
Your second question. You touched on this a bit, but what do you propose to do to bring industry into this county that will bring jobs and keep our young citizens here?
We have a great economic developer, Amanda Davenport is with the Lake Barkley Partnership. I have met with her several times, and I would like to work with them and continue to work with them. Lyon County actually pays into that partnership, and I want to work with both cities, the city of Eddyville and city of Catawba, to see if they can't join that partnership as well, so that we can bring those businesses here, we can bring that industry. I also want to work with the Riverport Board, the Industrial Development Authority, to see what the needs are what we currently have. How can we build on the businesses that are already here? We have a lot of small businesses and some large businesses here, but we want to keep the employees here. We don't want them going outside of the county if we can to find work. We want the employees to be here.
And finally, how will you continue to follow up on carp control with state and federal funding?
I'm going to continue to work with our current leaders, what they have already done, and continue to seek that funding to get the carp out of our lakes. We have Lake Barkley, Kentucky Lake, we're right here. Those Asian carp are in the lakes, and we want them out so that the fishermen can come back. We used to host a lot of bass tournaments. We want to continue those. We want those back. Continue to seek that funding of how we can get the Asian carp out of our lakes.
Thank you, ladies. Our property valuation administrators, Christy Cruz, please come up. Christy has no challengers, but she was very anxious to come and address you all tonight.
Well, I'm Christy Cruz, and I am very thankful to be unopposed again. I am, I guess, the oldest elected person, been in office the longest now, so very thankful, very humble. It's been an honor and a privilege to work for each of you, and I do work for you, the taxpayer. I do have to answer to the Department of Revenue. We've had an extraordinary year. Since I've been PVA, I've seen a lot of things: ice storms, COVID, tornado. We lost about $8 million approximately, came off of our tax roll from the tornado damage. But as you all know, you see it on the news, you've seen it everywhere, the housing market is at an all-time high. We've seen this in the past before. It was short-lived. It's still living right now. There's a housing shortage. There's something people have never done before is get in bidding wars over property. You know, I hope that we do build and grow here in the community, but as some of our other neighboring counties have experienced, Henderson has a new 700 job plant coming in, but they don't have the housing to substantiate those new employees. Even with that decrease in our assessment this year based on the number of sales, Miss Lori Duff works all those transfers as I do, we increased $34 million even after that deletion. And I have reassessed farms, and as you all know, I've said this before, I've fought to keep our ag values the lowest that I could. Our cropland values did go up $50 an acre this year, as opposed to about $400 an acre increase on top of what's already being paid. We've kept that low. My assessments have dropped, as every county's has in the state of Kentucky, based on those sales and what people are willing to give for a piece of property. So our assessments are going to go up a little bit this year. I'm doing the best I can. I have to be fair and equitable. We have a ratio that we have to keep. I have to be within 95%. So if you have a house listed for $100,000, it sells for $100,000, I need to have it assessed at $95,000 or better. So I have a very difficult job right now to keep up with everything that's happening with the housing market. For the first time in 20 years, Department of Revenue has allowed PVAs to have a 3-year curve on that ratio. We're in year 2 of that ratio curve. I don't see anything slowing down at all, not yet. So with that, I'm going to tell you all that I still continue to work for you. I know so many of you. It's a difficult job being in a small county when you know everybody. and know their situations, know what's going on at home, know when someone's spouse has passed away or they have an illness in the family and you're having to do your job. PVAs probably have one of the hardest, if not the hardest job there is, to go out and say, please vote for me. I'm probably going to have to pay more money. I can just tell you it'll be a lot less than if Frankfurt came in and did it with me doing it. My job is to buffer them from really going after you. That is my job. So with that, thank you all. I appreciate the continued support, and it's an honor and a privilege. I'm very humbled to be standing up here unopposed tonight. And thank you all, and the paper, everybody that put this together. We appreciate it very much.
I have one question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
We only have one question for you. How do you deal with undocumented property improvements?
Undocumented, when it's not turned in.
I'm just reading the question.
And you're reading the question, okay. Well, I interpret that as property that's not been turned in. Well, I am supposed to go back to wherever the property was first established. Let's say you build a garage and the county doesn't have building permits of any kind, the cities do, but out in the county, it's a hide and seek game for me unless you apply for a plumbing permit. Technically, I'm supposed to go back, if you built that house in 2015, I'm supposed to go back and back tax you that. You were supposed to pay it. It's up to the property owner. You're supposed to come and tell me when you build property. It happens, some, but most of the time not. I try to find all that property that I can. There's, of course, technology is advancing. We've advanced this year with that. And so that's, just come tell me when you build something. Just come tell me then. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
The candidates for Lyon County Sheriff include Brent White and Benny Lady. Gentlemen, would you please come up? Sheriff White, would you come first, please?
It's a pleasure to be with all of you tonight. Good evening. I'm Brent White. I want to thank American Legion Post 68, Herald Ledger, and everybody that came together to put this on for us. And thank you to the citizens and voters that came out to be educated tonight. First and foremost, I'm thankful to be a child of God. I fall short of that grace every single day. I learned from a trooper that died several years ago that my God is first, family is second, and everyone's family. That's a great motto to live by. My wife is Holly White. She's a school teacher at Lyon County High School. We're the proud parents of Avery Beth, who's 15 years old, Easton, who's 12 years old, and that's why I'm losing my hair. Both of them attend. It has nothing to do with the job of sheriff. It's that. I'm the son of Rodney and Karen White. I am the grandchild of the late William S. Bill White and Rachel Dura White, as well as the late Richie and Myra Crisp. I'm running for re-election as your sheriff. It's been my honor to serve as your sheriff for the last 4 years, or 3 in a few months. Prior to becoming sheriff, I retired from the Kentucky State Police in 2017, where my last assignment was the commander of the Madisonville Post. I started my law enforcement career right here in Lyon County. I was in graduate school at Murray State University. I came home and told my parents I was going to be a cop, and they were really excited while I was in graduate school. I'm a 1994 proud graduate of the University of Kentucky. I have the qualified experience to continue leading our sheriff's office after just starting our 27th year. And my responsibilities as your sheriff include a host of constitutional and statutory duties that differ from other law enforcement agencies sometimes, and sometimes it can be confusing. As your sheriff, I'm responsible for collecting a little over $7 million in property and franchise tax payments from a period of October the 1st through April the 15th of every year. We just concluded that with the help of Penny Crawford, our Chief Financial Deputy that's here tonight, on Monday the 18th, because the 15th was Good Friday. Our office is also charged with distributing these tax dollars to the many taxing districts across the county. And we also take in a little over $500,000 in fees annually that come through our office, and we turn those over directly to the fiscal court. Now, you might say, well, how's the sheriff get fees? Well, we derive fees from out-of-state automobile inspections where the vehicle is bought out of state, brought in Kentucky, concealed deadly weapon permits, impound lot fees, civil summons, criminal summons service, that type of thing, and evictions, subpoena service, law enforcement contracts. And in addition, we're in charge in conjunction with the Office of Jailer with managing the flow of prisoners between jail, court, and our correctional facilities. We're responsible for all of the out-of-state extraditions. So we have somebody that if you served on a grand jury here and they get stopped out on the interstate by the state police and they get arrested and then they never come back to court, it's our job to go get them or to contract to get them back here. We bailiff all the district and circuit courts. We attend the fiscal court monthly meetings, and we sit on the county board of elections with our county clerk. And of course, the main job or I say the main job, it's about third down the list, but we're the chief law enforcement officer, of the county, and that probably takes the most demand from the public. Since taking office in January of 2019, we've had many goals and priorities, and I'll be happy to speak to all of these with you, but privately or after this, but for brevity, here are just a few. We've updated our public website. We have our own public website that we don't just share with the county now. That was the first time that we were able to do that, and the reason that we did that is we wanted to have an online tax collection method for people that are here in the county, as well as those that we have a lot of absentee landowners. And so that has been very popular with us. It's allowed for us to collect property taxes online by credit card, debit card, or e-check. It just gives the taxpayer more options to pay their property taxes. Another priority is protecting the public and increasing our deputies' safety. We've updated life safety equipment for our deputies, and we've improved their technology resources to be able to more efficiently serve you. Yes, in summary, our main mantra is removing on the criminal side drug dealers and those who steal private property. So you'll hear us say no dealing and no stealing. And finally, I just respectfully ask for your vote in the general election in November as I'm unopposed in the May primary. And with that, I'll take any questions from the panel.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lady? Here you go.
I'm Lyon County Constable Benny Lady. I'm running for sheriff. I've lived in Lyon County all my life. I'm originally from between the rivers, LBL, some of y'all know. And I think it's time for us to have a new sheriff. I don't really believe in the way they work up there. I've seen stuff and heard stuff through some officers up there that we don't need that for our generation. We got a younger generation coming up that we got to show them the right from the wrong. We just can't go out there and grab a kid off the street because they made a mistake. We need to show them that there's a right way to do it. Explain it to them. I got 27 grandkids. Lord knows I need to talk to them a lot. I might not ever live to get through all of them, but I believe if I'm a sheriff, I can help benefit from the sheriff's office. We got, like Brent said, we got a lot of good officers that works under him. You'll see them out daylight till dark, some of them, 2 days. But it's time for a change. Rudy Higgins was one of the foremen that would become sheriff up there. And he stayed there. He was a good man. There wasn't no finer man than Rudy Higgins. But if I'm elected, I'll do everything and then more if they'll let me. But you can only do what the law will let you do. That's where they've got it. And my family, I've got, like I said, 27 grandkids. And one thing led to the next. I've been on the fire department, Katoa. I've worked under, I had 2 foremen, Jordan Yates. I went through 5 foremans while I worked for the State Highway Department. I worked myself up to assistant foreman, but the first thing I had to do is get a GED. Do y'all know how hard it is to get a GED when you quit school when you're 16? That's the reason I try to encourage the kids, don't quit school. So I went ahead, they beat it in my head. I went time and time again, going to classes and stuff, and I finally got my GED. And I went and made assistant foreman, and then after 24 years under Roger Noth. And I worked 4 or 5 years under Jordan Yates, which took over. And then it's time for me to let some younger guy take it. But if I'm elected, I will be there. I will be there to help anybody I can. I do that now. I've helped people that's broke down. If people that's had houses blown away, I've carried them to buses. I've even bought clothes and food for them, and my wife has. And that's what, a sheriff, he can do that. I mean, he's got a job out there to protect y'all, myself, our people, Lyon County. And if they need us in another county, yeah, I say we'll go help them. But Lyon County's got more than people think they got going on in Lyon County. We got drugs. We got people that's killing people. We got people that's thieves. They'll steal your stuff out of your front yard. We don't need this. But if I'm elected sheriff, I'll do everything I've told you. And I will. If I have to go to Frankfurt for training and stuff to make a better sheriff, I'll do that too. But you got to learn to crawl before you can walk. And that's one thing I believe in.
Mr. Reddy, stand by me while I ask you
Yes,
some
ma'am.
questions, okay? Your first question. Crime is one of the top national issues. What are you going to do to make sure it does not become a top issue in Lyon County?
Well, the first thing, you got to find what the bottom of it is, where the crime started and who started it. But that takes time. You can't just do it overnight. It's a hard thing just to go out here and say, hey, point. Like say my wife back there shot somebody. If you can't prove it, you got to work, go through the channels, talk to this one to see if they know anything. The other one, check for that one. And it does take time. I know what Brent goes through. Well, I don't really, but like he said, it's rough out there in Lyon County. Ain't getting any better. We've got people that's moving into Lyon County. We don't even know who they are. Some of them ex-convicts. Somebody probably killed somebody and they're moving to Lyon County to get out of the county they're in. We don't really know where it's coming from. And drugs, hey, people bringing drugs in here all the time. If you don't believe me, spend a night down there at Huck's Travel Center out back. They got a better business than the grocery store over here, Sherway. All we got to do is just sit there. They'll bring it to you. But I do believe that we're going to have to tighten down in Lyon County to make Lyon County better. And I ain't really saying there's nothing wrong with Lyon County, because I love Lyon County. But if I'm sheriff, if I have to spend night and day, I'll be there.
And your second question. A big drain on our county budget is the cost of housing inmates. We have more inmates in jail than in other counties our size. Is that because crime is more rampant in our county?
Yeah, that shows you that crime's improving in Lyon County. But until you get to the bottom of it, what really can you do? I mean, you can sit there and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But if you don't get off your behind, then it will get nothing done. But the first thing you got to do is find out where it started from. And then you keep checking them, like Brent does, the rest of them. They just don't go out there and find it overnight. Sometimes they spend 3 and 4 days, and they get way before they even find out where it started. But like I said, if I get elected, I'll try my darndest to be the man that Brent White is.
Your last question. Why do we have so many drug arrests in Lyon County?
Do what, ma'am?
Why? Why do we have so many drug arrests in Lyon County?
Well, to me, I think there's a lot of drugs being brought into Lyon County. A lot of them from these big trucks, like I just said a while ago. You want to see drug dealing done, all you gotta do is be in a plain white wrapper and go down there and sit behind hooks. Go down here at the scale house and sit there when they're bringing stuff in. We ain't never gonna stop it. We can keep arresting them and arresting and arresting, but put them in jail, put them in prison, there's gonna be somebody else take their place. But people that can make money doing nothing, that's what they're gonna do. And a lot of our people is dying out here. You can go down to the scale house all the time, you'll find 1 or 2 overdosed in a truck. They found them out there behind hooks before, dead in the truck, overdosed. They might lay out there 2 or 3 days until somebody calls looking for them, and then they'll find them.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Yeah.
Sheriff White,
Yes, ma'am.
your first question. Crime is one of the top national issues. What are you going to do to make sure it does not become a top issue in Lyon County?
It's a great question. One of the things that we have just recently done with the Sheriff's Office starting in December of this year is sign on with the Department of Justice funded Violent Crime Task Force. It's called the Western Kentucky Violent Crimes Task Force. And previously, prior to 2019, the fiscal court in Lyon County actually paid a little over $30,000 to be a member of a local drug task force. And in this particular case, we're a member of a task force that we don't have to pay into, and they actually pay us. They pay our deputies when we're working overtime. They pay our deputies when we're working on those cases. They pay our deputies if we have to go out of the county to assist the task force as a whole in other parts of Lyon County. So it's a win-win for Lyon County. We'll continue to do those things to make sure it's not a national issue here.
Your second question. A big drain on our county budget is the cost of housing inmates. We have more inmates in jail than other counties our size. Is that because there's more crime rampant in our county?
No, I do not believe it's because we have more crime rampant in our county, but I do believe there's more enforcement in our county in certain areas than in other counties. Let me explain. If you've ever sat on the grand jury, as we talked about earlier, you've likely heard testimony from Kentucky State Police, a drug interdiction unit that utilizes our interstates because we intersect here a north-south interstate with an east-west interstate. And that's a prime place for those folks to do their work on interdicting smugglers and those that are trafficking large amounts of drugs up and down these interstate corridors. And certainly it is one in which it sometimes skews our statistics. So no, I don't believe we have more crime, but we do have too much. We have too much per capita. When you have 8,300 residents and we have as many drug dealers as we have that operate in and out of here, you have to stay on that from an enforcement and investigative standpoint so that it doesn't become overburdensome for the county budget.
Right. You touched on this just a bit, but your third question is, why do we have so many drug arrests in Lyon County?
One is because we're proactive at seeking them out. Again, we focus on people who are dealing and people who are stealing. We also focus on getting treatment for those that suffer from drug addiction before they get to that other category. We have so many drug arrests because we have excellent officers standing all around in this room tonight that make it their priority to make sure this place is a safe county. And with that comes hard work. So you go to a county in rural Kentucky that says they have no drug arrests because they don't have any drug crime, and I'll show you a county that's probably pretty lazy. Every county in western Kentucky is affected by illegal drugs, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't overtake this community, and that's due to the hard work of our local officers.
Thank you, gentlemen. Candidates for Lyon County Jailer include Steve Galusha and Elijah Thorpe. Please come up, gentlemen. Mr. Galusha?
Thank you, ma'am. First, I want to apologize for having to step out, but when an officer calls me and they have to go to jail, we have to get them to jail. So anyway, first, my name's Steve Galusha. I'm your Lyon County jailer. I live here in Lyon County in Eddyville, Kentucky at 301 East Fairview. My wife's Marcia Galusha, my daughter's Stephanie Galusha, and she lives here in town too. I've lived here for like 39 years. Been married to Marcia for 39 years. I was born and raised in Lyon County over on Pea Ridge by the penitentiary. I graduated from Lyon County High School. My background's in corrections with the Department of Corrections, where I did 20 years and retired from state penitentiaries. I've worked at both the KSP and WKCC, and I'm a member of the Grand Rivers Baptist Church in Grand Rivers, Kentucky. I was appointed to this job by Judge Wade White in 2016 to finish out Hank O'Brien's term. You, the citizens, reelected me in 2018, and I'm proud to be your Lyon County jailer. The office I wish to hold and keep is the Lyon County jailer. My duties consist of transporting people to and from jail for all law enforcement agencies that work and live and stay in Lyon County. My duty is to transport people to district court on Mondays and Wednesdays, to circuit court on the first Monday of each month. Also, part of my duties is to bond people out that have warrants and give them extra court dates, and I bond people out all through the United States. That shows you how many people drive through here from other states. I travel to other jails locally to pick up people who have warrants for Lyon County. Once they finish out their sentences there, we have to pick them up and take them to Crittenden County Jail. And I also have to take people from jails to doctor's appointments and just hospital visits. My goal is to save as many tax dollars that I can. One way is by bonding people out that can make a bond assigned by the judges. This saves a lot of jail fees. Also, if law enforcement place someone under arrest with a warrant from other counties, whether today or night, I try to go back to jail and pick them up and take them to the county where the arrest happened and put them in that jail. That saves us jail fees. And then my big way of saving tax dollars is when people are in jail, they still have to go to the hospitals. Thank God I have a great judge like Judge White and Judge Red who give me ROR bonds to get people out. We medically release them to go to the hospital, get their treatments, but we always have them come back to the jail once they're finished. That way they're not really released. Every once in a while we'll have a problem where it's a serious medical condition, and we will give them a next court date available, and they will come back to court that day. Another way I save money for the county and save big tax dollars is I don't employ a full-time deputy jailer. A full-time deputy jailer would cost approximately $45,000 by the time you pay salary and benefit packages. I have two retired people, one's a state police and one's a correction officer, and I pay them approximately $26,000 a year. So that's almost a $20,000 savings that I save by not having a full-time employee. In closing, I'd just like to say I really enjoy my job as Lyon County jailer. It's a very demanding job, and a lot of you have no clue how much and what I have to do day and night. I knew this when I took the position in 2016, but I really welcome the challenge. I would like to thank my wife, Marcia, for allowing me to do this job, because many nights the phone rings past 10 or 11 o'clock, she gets woke up just like me. And the cautious person she is, she turns the radio on, makes sure I get to the jail, and then she turns it off. She knows I'm safe, and I appreciate that. I would like to thank the American Legion Post and the Herald Ledger for allowing this forum to be tonight, where you can meet the candidates and just hear what offices we have to hold here in this county, and what great people we do have who are holding these offices now. I'd like to thank the citizens for electing me as jailer in 2018, and I please ask for your vote and support on May 17th as your Lyon County jailer. Thank you all very, very much, and may God bless this county, and may God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thorpe?
I'd like to thank the American Legion Post 68 for hosting the Meet the Candidates tonight. Most of you may know me, some of you may not. My name is Elijah Thorpe, and I'm running for Lyon County Jailer. I was born and raised in Lyon County, graduated from Lyon County High School, and I retired from the Kentucky Department of Corrections at WKCC with over 20 years of experience. 16 out of my 20 years, I was a supervisor. Tonight, I have my wife, Amy, and my youngest daughter, Jessica, here tonight with me, who are two of my biggest supporters. The duties of a jailer vary since Lyon County doesn't have a jail. Some of the duties are to respond to the jail, to take custody of the person being arrested. The jailer can bond individuals out on certain charges and turn over money when cash bonds are paid. Process inmates in to the county jail and transport inmates to and from jail for local courts. They stay with the county inmate while they're in court. They maintain a budget. And by law, those who do not have jails to run or prisoners to transport, they're supposed to serve as bailiffs. If you also look at the duties of a jailer versus a correctional officer, a correctional supervisor, they're very similar. My goals, if elected, your Lyon County Jailer, is to find the most cost-effective rate on housing our county inmates, take into consideration the distance, contract with that county, and renew it every 2 years in order to save money or cut the budget that way. That way that money could be utilized elsewhere. Our current budget is $350,000 for this year, and I believe we've surpassed that right now at a little over $500,000. Also, I will be making jailer my number one priority job. I will not work or obtain a second job. Being your Lyon County Jailer will be my number one priority job. The deputy jailers will be paid a stipend pay in order to help with our budgets. When they are called out, they will receive an hourly rate, and then when they return home, their stipend pay would return. If elected your jailer, my hours will vary due to call-outs, but I will be at the jail from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., like I said, unless I am called out. To ensure if anyone has any questions or concerns in regards to the jail, they can stop in before or after work where I can assist them. My priorities, if elected your Lyon County Jailer, is public safety. I will have a rotation of deputies for on-call or after hours during my absence. One of my deputies or myself will respond to the jail in a reasonable manner to take custody of the person being arrested so our law enforcement agencies can return to their duties with very limited interruption. Also, I will work closely with our local law enforcement agencies when called upon and when needed. If the county doesn't already do it, one of the priorities I would want to propose to the fiscal court is by placing a judgment or against the county inmate or some of their property. That way the county can recoup some of their cost of housing our county inmates in a reasonable amount of time. If I would like to achieve these goals in order to keep the costs down and to continue to lower budget as much as possible. That way we can save money for the taxpayers of the county and where that money could be utilized elsewhere that we save. Thank you.
Please remain. We have a couple questions for you, and both of you touched somewhat on them, but maybe we can get specific. What are the fiscal ramifications of not having a jail in Lyon County, and is it justified?
Well, I believe that's a double-edged sword, but I believe that we can, if we're able to have a jail, we should be able to get one as long as it's not raising taxpayers' money. If we can apply for grants, utilize possible inmate labor to build the jail. And what was the second part of that question?
What are the fiscal ramifications of not having a jail, and is it justified to not have a jail?
Okay. I believe it's justified because currently the money, it would cost so much money on spending the money on it. Also, the fiscal ramification, I'm not 100% sure how to really answer that. I would say that the ramification would be we need to look at the overall cost of housing the county inmates.
One more question. And again, you touched on this, but specifically, since we don't have a jail, who do you respond to, and where do you take offenders when they're arrested?
Currently, they respond to the old Lyon County Jail, right across the street from the Lyon County Courthouse. And currently, they are housed at Crittenden County Detention Center.
Mr. Galuccio? Same questions. Question number one. What are the fiscal ramifications of not having a jail in Lyon County, and is it justified?
Well, the biggest problem with not having jail in Lyon County is, as a taxpayer and all U.S. taxpayers, I really don't think that the county really can afford one. It would cost so much money to build closer. I don't like to. Anyway, it would just cost so much money to build a jail. We've looked into it, and the sheriff and the fiscal court, and we're talking $15, $20 million just to build a jail, okay? That doesn't count staffing it, that doesn't count medical, that doesn't count food. So it would just be a burden on us citizens of Lyon County to have to build a jail of that size. Since we don't have a jail, who exactly do you respond to, and where do you take these offenders when they are arrested? Since we don't have a jail, we did have a jail back in the early 70s and 80s. It's right there where the food bank is, right across from the jail. from the courthouse. I respond to the jail when an officer of the law calls me or they page me out and they meet me at the jail. I go to the jail and sit there with them while they do their citations and all that, and we go through the property and make sure they have no contraband or whatever, and then once we're done there, we take them to Crittenden County Jail, where I contract with Crittenden County Jailer Robbie Kirk to house our inmates at the present time. Thank you, gentlemen. You may be seated. Lori Duff is our county clerk. She has no challengers for her office, but she wanted to come in and speak to you all this evening.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you, Posting 68, for coming, for providing this opportunity for us, and not just for providing this, but for your service to our country. Herald Ledger, thank you for being here. I don't have any written notes, but you all know I am unopposed. Thank you very much. I started in the clerk's office in 2002. I was a stay-at-home mom for many years, raised 3 children. Dennis and I have been married for 40 years after a short 40-day courtship. I like to throw that in. We have 3 grown children. Benjamin lives in Michigan. He has 2 children, Grayson and Annalie. Garrett, our second son, lives in Fort Collins, Colorado with his children, his wife, Isaac and Solomon. And our daughter, Lane Ellen, and her husband, Sam, live in Nicholasville, Kentucky. I'll brag a little bit, she just received her doctorate in plant biology, so, from the University of Kentucky. So we bleed blue in our house for a while. But my job as county clerk is a constitutional office. I do a lot of things, and I'm responsible for a lot of things, but I have a great team that works in my office. I have 3 full-time deputies, and have recently hired a part-time deputy to help, and she has just been a rock star. That's what I tell her. She's part of our team. But part of my responsibilities as county clerk, I am your chief election officer in the county. I sit as chairman on the local board of elections, along with our Democrat commissioner, Sarah Defew, our Republican commissioner, Janet Ward, and the sheriff, Brett White. I'm going to go back to elections just a little bit. One of the other things that we do in our office is we register, title, and collect the ad valorem property taxes and usage tax on all vehicles, motorboats, trailers, campers, anything that you can title, we title it and we transfer it, and we try to do it with a smile. Sometimes that's harder than others. We also, I'm also the land records. I keep all the land records of the county. I have county records back to 1854, when our county became a county out of Caldwell County. So if you ever have some time on your hand, come by and I'll take you into the deed room and we'll pull up some old deeds and see if you can read them. They're not written the way we write nowadays. But I am proud to say that our county, and Representative Freeland, you'll appreciate this, our county has all of the records digitized. So when the Senate bill or House bill, I can't remember which, to modernize the clerk's office, we're ahead of the game. We're ahead of the game on that. And so we've got that, and we try to keep our land records up to date as quickly as we can. As Christy touched on earlier, we have had an immense last 2 years of last year, off the top of my head, we collected deed transfer tax, which you may not understand what that is, but we collected $108,000 of deed transfer tax. When a property is sold, the consideration for if you buy a home for $100,000, deed transfer tax on that transfer is $100. So we collected $108,000 last year for deed transfer tax. And so we have, I like to brag about being a native in Lyon County, and I am. I'm a proud graduate of the 1980 class of Lyon County. We've got some alum here with us. But I also understand too that this economy that we have is in part a lot to our people that have moved in here to enjoy what we sometimes take for granted. We've been raised here. We know what our community is. Here last week we've had several people from California move here, from Oregon. I'm like, how did you find our utopian area? And they say, well, I had a good real estate agent, or so-and-so I knew, like that, or I had family that used to live here. So, but I am thankful that I am your county clerk. I probably forgot delinquent tax. We collect delinquent tax. We got that. Last night, and so now we get to be the tax collectors of all those. And in summary, thank you again for your support, and I am humbled to be your county clerk.
I have one question for you. A major national concern these days that everyone has been talking about is having the right to vote easily. What are you doing to make sure this is not going to be an issue in Lyon County?
I want everyone to be registered to vote and to exercise their right to vote. In our 2020 election, we voted an all-time high of 64%. We have about 6,500 registered voters here in the county. I don't understand why everybody doesn't want to vote, or cast their vote, or to even be registered to vote. But on that note, Ms. Dee, if you will just allow me just a minute, there's the May primaries coming up, and you've got ways that you can go ahead and cast your ballot now if you're not going to be in town. We have mail-in absentee ballots, and you can apply for those online to the portal that the Secretary of State has up, and it is the govote.ky.gov. If you're not going to be in town, or if you meet the criteria for an absentee mail-in ballot, that portal is open until May the 3rd. If you are not registered to vote, today is your day to do it. Go online, govote.ky.gov. Today's the last day to register to vote in order to vote in the primary. We are going to have 6 days in-person excused absentee voting. It will be in my office or across the hall from my office, and that'll be May 4th, 5th, 6th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Because of the COVID and we had all the different ways that we voted in the 2020, the state legislature did some changing to maybe take the best parts of that. And we're going to have 3 days of unexcused early voting, and it will be May the 12th. That's Thursday, May the 12th, the 13th, and Saturday the 14th. Those hours will be from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night on that Thursday and Friday, and that Saturday from 8 to 4. You can, if you just don't want to wait until the election day, you come in, show your ID, and we will let you vote as long as you're a registered voter in Lyon County. And then the election will be, we're going to have all 6 precincts will be here this time, not like it was before. So if you voted at the fire station at Katawa before, that's where you're going to go and vote. The only change of location that we're going to have is our East Katawa precinct that used to vote at the Port Authority. So if you voted at the Port Authority, you're not going to be able to vote at the Port Authority. They don't have a building there any longer. So we had to move that, and so I got approval with the State Board of Elections to move that precinct to the Port Authority people will be voting here in the Lyon County Convention Center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District Judge, 56th, 1st Division, Mr. Schluck, Mr. Noth, Ms. Nelson, please come up. Matt, will you go first, please? Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. Thank you for taking the time. I think it's important to be educated voters, and this is the way you do it. My name is Matt Schock. I am from Caldwell County, or have lived in Caldwell County for about the past 16 years. I've had a private practice, law practice in Caldwell County in Princeton for the past 15 years. I was married there to my wife, Mary Sue. We've got one daughter, and we live out in the county. I am running for the office of District Court Judge for the 56th Judicial Circuit. It's comprised of 4 counties. That's Lyon, Caldwell, Livingston, and Trigg. A district court judge presides over matters including civil matters up to $5,000, small claims court damages up to $2,500, misdemeanor, criminal offenses, traffic offenses, felony matters solely for the purposes of conducting a preliminary hearing, rather setting a bond, conducting a preliminary hearing. Those cases are on their way up to circuit court, so a preliminary hearing is just a probable cause hearing in district court. Other matters that the district court handles, juvenile matters, including juveniles or minors that commit criminal offenses, and also dependency, neglect, and abuse matters where children are neglected or abused. The district judge presides over those types of matters. District judges also handle probate matters, the settlement of estates when someone passes away, domestic violence hearings, to issue protective orders to protect citizens against someone who is in a relationship and maybe potentially violent. Disability trials that consist of determining if someone is unable to care for themselves, to make decisions for themselves and are in need of a guardian. District judges handle those types of matters. finally, code and ordinance violations. I think I've covered about everything. There's a lot too. I think Judge White could sound on this. There's a lot of responsibilities, a lot of duties that the district judge has. The district judge is responsible for conducting jury trials or bench trials, conducting hearings, making sure that everyone who comes before him or her knows their constitutional rights, knows that, I think it's important to make individuals, or as a judge, I think it would be important to make individuals at least try to make them feel comfortable, okay? I think it's a very stressful situation a lot of times for people who have never been in court before. I see that very often. I've practiced like I said, the past 15 years in various counties, actually 13 I counted the other day, in and out, not consistently in those counties. I've been in front of a lot of judges. I think it's important that judges exercise patience in dealing with people. You deal with people from all different walks of life, all different circumstances, and I think you have to take that into consideration when you're conducting court. I think one of the most important things that a judge needs to have is good old-fashioned common sense when you're making a decision, no matter what that decision might be. It seems to me like in this world, more and more, there's a lack of common sense. If it walks like a duck and it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And I think, sometimes we feel like in our country, in our community, we may be getting away from that to some extent. I think it's important to be fair in making decisions. I think it's also important to be decisive when you have to make hard decisions. And in summarization, I appreciate it again for you all coming out tonight and giving us the opportunity to get to know you and for you to get to know us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Noah?
Good evening. My name is Brandon Noth, and it's good to be back in Lyon County, despite the Kentucky allergy crud, so bear with me. As most of you know, I was born and raised here, graduated from Lyon County, and lived here my whole life except for college. I'm married to my wife, Brandy, who's here tonight. We have 3 daughters, ages 21, 17, and 10. I look out over driving in this afternoon, I see all the kids out there on the ball fields. It reminds me of many years ago, being out there as a kid with Bill Cunningham as my baseball coach. I see Rudy Bennett here tonight. He gave me one of my first jobs at Catawba Harbor, flipping Rudy burgers. Actually, that's a lie. I never got past the fry cook stage, Rudy. But that makes me realize I'm getting old. My wife says I'm starting to lose my hearing. And Wade, that reminds me of a story of 3 ladies going on a senior church trip on a bus, riding in the same seat. And the lady by the window looks out and says, "It sure is windy today." And the lady in the middle next to her says, "No, I think it's Thursday." And the lady next to her in the aisle says, "Yeah, I'm thirsty too." I think to be a good judge, you have to be a good listener. And that's one thing that I would do as district judge, is listen to the folks as they come in, let them be heard, let them have their day in court. I had the privilege of serving this county for 8 years as county attorney, during which I got great experience of handling thousands of cases, literally in district court here. And I'm proud to maintain one of the highest DUI conviction rates during my tenure in the state of Kentucky. I'm currently serving as your Lyon County Magistrate Commissioner. I was appointed by Judge Woodall in 2018. And just recently, our new circuit judge, Judge Jameis Redd, reappointed me in that role. As Matt pointed out, the district court judge handles a variety of different types of cases, both criminal and civil. And I've had the privilege of having a practice for the last 2 decades that covers all of those areas. And I believe it's that experience that makes me the most qualified candidate for the job. I love this community. This community has given me a lot, and I've seen the resilience and the heart of this community in the last several months. And it's inspired me to want to serve and give back. So as your district court judge, I appreciate your consideration, your vote. I will put my 2 decades of law practice in the district courtroom to work for the people of Lyon County, Livingston, Caldwell, and Trigg. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nelson.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Sakronoski Nelson, but I could not afford to put Sakronoski on all my signs, so I'm just going with Nelson. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you to the American Legion. I used to drop my grandfather off at the Legion when I was living in Paducah, and he would go and visit his friends there, and I was always felt great leaving him there because I knew he was safe, and it was a good place he could be with friends. I was also a newspaper reporter before I went to law school. Most people know what lawyers do, but they don't know who we are. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am and where I'm from. I started my first job as working at a dry cleaner's, sewing on little tiny buttons for people for $3.15 an hour. And I didn't like that job. I didn't want to stay in that job. Decided to go to school. Went through my first year of school and didn't do so well in my first year of school. So my parents said they weren't paying for my school anymore. So I went to work at a cement plant. And I decided I really did not like working at a cement plant. But I put myself through school, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I was able to figure out what hard work meant and how I needed to work a lot harder to get somewhere else. And I know how hard it is putting in those long hours in the overtime. Matt and Brandon did a good job telling what district court does, but I want to tell you a little bit about what it means to me. I brought one of my children here today, but I have two others that I received through the district court. They mentioned that district court handles dependency, abuse, and neglect. Well, through that system, we also have foster care, and I was a foster parent for many years and took in foster children, and I didn't know how to raise babies, and I had lots of people, some in this room today, that were able to help me learn how to turn those children into little adults now. It means a lot, and it comes through the foster care system and through the district court, and that's how those children end up in different homes, and I've seen it from all sides, and I hope that I can give back. It does take common sense, and it takes someone who has been there and understands where these families are and where they need to be. And hopefully the goal is to put them back in the home from which they came, but if they can't, then they'll find forever homes in the community. I've never run for public office. There's never been a public office I wanted to hold. And I would ask for your vote in the primary in May, and then hopefully in November. Thank you.
Please remain. I have a couple questions for you, but I do want to clarify something. I think I made a mistake. I was confused on this. The three of you are running 56th Division, District 1. I think I said the second, and I apologize. It's District 1. Your first question, Ms. Nelson. What will you consider to be your successful first term if elected district judge?
We have always had a very heavy caseload in the 56th Circuit. There are wonderful judges, and they've been able to manage their dockets very well. And I'm pleased that how well they've been able to turn over with the amount of cases they have. I'm hoping that we can continue that and bring in some other resources that we have available. Judge White was able to bring in on-site drug testing, which has been phenomenal in domestic violence cases that are in the district court, and the dependency, abuse, and neglect, and just our regular criminal docket. When people get up there and they have not been using drugs. She can send them over into room 1, and they do on-site testing now. And I hope that we can continue that, and she's done a lot of work in that. CASA has also been a big part of the Dependency, Abuse, and Neglect Court, and I'm hoping that we could continue that.
Your second question, and you did touch on it a little bit. As an attorney, have you dealt with domestic violence cases in our county? And what is your opinion on what can be done to decrease this societal crime?
I do a lot of domestic violence cases. There are cases that are absolutely necessary and people need protection. There are also people who abuse the system and they use it for custody or just to get back at when they're going through a divorce. What can we do to help? We can educate people. We can educate the public. We can educate our friends and our neighbors and spot it when we see it. When people do need protection, I think it's wonderful that it's there. I hate to see that shield used as a sword, though, and I think we need to be mindful of that. I don't know if that answered the question, but yes, I see it all the time.
Your final question. What is your opinion on the penal system in Kentucky when it comes to drug offenders?
Without education and accountability on the drug epidemic, there's not going to be a right answer to that question. The more people abuse drugs, the more people that are going to go to jail, and the cycle is going to continue. And it is a cycle, and it is an epidemic. And I do not know how to fix that. I know that we need to all be educated about it. I know we need to utilize all the resources that are there. And I know that not every person that is in jail needs jail. Some need rehab. And I think we have to use common sense and we have to use all the tools that are available to help stop this epidemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. North, would you come back? Your first question. Should you be elected, what will you consider to be your success in your first term?
As it's been said numerous times tonight, Lyon County is no exception to the problem of drug addiction. It's all over Western Kentucky, in the state, in this nation. I think our judges have to strike a balance between punishing the crime, but also offering opportunities for treatment for those who need and deserve it. I think looking back after 4 years, I would consider it a success if I gave individuals who are deserving and who want and need treatment that opportunity. I think the judges have to balance public safety with that, of course, and it have to be on a case-by-case basis. But just to continue to lock people up and let them sit there and not treat the addiction doesn't address the problem.
Your second question. As an attorney, have you dealt with domestic violence cases in our county? And what is, in your opinion, can be done to stop this societal crime?
I have handled domestic violence cases throughout my career. I think sometimes substance abuse is a factor in that. I also think mental health is a factor in that. The pandemic and the isolation over the last few years has taken a toll on a lot of the mental health of our community. And so I think the district court can also order and review mental health treatment for individuals as well as the substance abuse issues.
And maybe you can recap on the third, because you spoke a little bit about it. In your opinion, what is your opinion on the penal system itself in Kentucky when it comes to drug offenders?
It's a big issue. Again, I think courts should encourage treatment for those who deserve or who want it and need it. The drug dealers, the repeat offenders, the violent offenders need to be kept away from our community. But if you've got somebody who's just battling addiction itself and they're using and they haven't graduated to the more serious crimes and they want help, I think courts should encourage that, and I would encourage that.
Thank you. Same question. Number one, should you be elected district judge, what will you consider to be your success in your first term?
I kind of feel like a broken record. I feel like I'm going to say the same things over and over that have been repeated because those are actually very good answers. I think as far as success, you know, I pray every day that I can be successful in my job and that I can utilize my talents to help other people. I think that that's the reason that I was put on this earth, is to help others. By helping others, we love our neighbor. By loving our neighbor, we love God. I hope that I'm able to use my talents to have successes, to be able to look at the people that have been before me, the people that have passed through, and to hear people say, you've done a good job, you've been a good judge. We're proud of the work that you've done in our community.
As an attorney, have you dealt with domestic violence cases in our county? And what, in your opinion, can be done to decrease this societal crime?
I have dealt with some domestic violence cases in Lyon County. It's been a couple of years ago, but it's something that I have practiced off and on in my work. It's difficult. It's hard to control families. It's hard to control people, and we just can't do that. We've got a society. We've got different people with different problems. You know, we talk about the drugs time and again, alcohol, things of that nature. They can get involved in a family, can cause friction, you know, can cause these violent episodes. You know, the courts need to be there to protect the people, need to be able to be there to make sure that protective orders are issued so that these things don't happen again. But again, it goes back to education. You know, are we educating people enough that are through the court system so that we don't see them come back through? You know, are they getting the anger management? Are they getting enough counseling, anger management, classes, support that they need? Is there something more we can do? I don't know, but I would be open to looking at possibilities in that area.
And your final question, what is your opinion of the penal system in Kentucky when it comes to drug offenders?
I think the jails are full, and I think there's too many drug users and too many drug abusers. You know, I hate drugs. I think they're the scourge of our society. They're the scourge of our community. I think if you wiped out the drugs, if you were able to hit a button and wipe out the drugs in one instant, I think you would cut the court docket in half. I think you'd cut the problems that we have in our community in half in an instant. It's something that we all need to take note of. It affects us all, not only the people that use and abuse the drugs. They have long arms, the problems. I know that the legislature, I believe a bill just passed recently, increasing the penalties in regard to trafficking and importing fentanyl in our state. You know, that's our legislature's working hard. I believe that they are, to try to curb drug offenses. Is there more we can do? I think so. I think getting in touch with our congressmen, congresswomen, you know, maybe look at the other side. It seems like we don't hear enough about child or young people education in regard to drugs. The problem with drugs starts at home. You know, with educating our children, making sure that that's fundamentally what we want to do, is protect our kids from this scourge. I think that I think that people could speak with their legislators, and I think that there could be some, maybe more funds could be put towards those type of efforts.
Thank you all very much. Natalie White is the candidate for Judge 56th District, 1st Division. She faces no challengers for this office, but she's here with us tonight.
Aren't you all glad I'm the last speaker? I just noticed that. I'll try to be brief. My name is Natalie White, and I am one of the district judges here in the 56th Circuit. I am in Division 2. In 2018, I was elected, November of 2018, and I took office in 2019. So I know exactly what all of you three are thinking and doing. I've done that. I'm so glad that I'm unopposed for this term. So basically, if I get myself to the polls, maybe I grab my husband and son. I think that's it for that can vote in my family. Then I've got this election. So that's one good thing to think about. I was thinking about what I was going to say tonight in front of you all, and I really came up with maybe just what I've been doing since 2019. You've heard what the district judge does. They did a great rendition of what we do, and all of that's correct and probably more. But what I've been doing since I became district judge in 2019 is I had a great first year. I was getting into the groove of everything. The dockets were running smooth. It was great. I was like, I'm really getting a handle on this. And then I came up 2020, had New Year's resolutions, all kinds of plans. March 2020, everyone knows what happened, COVID. So when I was just like, it took the entire office upside down. We went Zoom, no one came to court. I was here in my black robe, and I thought maybe I can just wear a black sweater because that's the same thing. Nobody sees that on the TV. So I just went in and put on a black sweater, didn't even wear a robe, and had court like that for many, many months. So some of the things that I wanted to do when I became district judge was, and Ms. Nelson touched on that, is the CASA program. We had not had CASA in this circuit, and I really wanted to do that. So we had the CASA meeting March of 2020, and everyone met in person, and then COVID. So I thought, we're not going to get CASA for several years. This is not going to happen. But you know what? It did. We did Zoom meetings, we did emails, and worked really hard, and the CASA program came to the 56th Circuit. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a court-appointed special advocate. And what it does is those cases like dependency, neglect, and abuse, where those children may be removed from the home, the judge can appoint a CASA volunteer. And that volunteer goes into that family, finds out what the issues are, makes a report to the court. And it's different from a social worker because social workers have thousands of cases. A CASA worker only has one. So that program was so instrumental in providing that information to the judge and to the court of what's really going on with this family. That CASA worker or CASA volunteer can go into the schools, talk with teachers, talk with relatives, talk with everyone, even the child, and make a report to the court. So when that program was implemented, it helped out tremendously. I really got to know what's going on, because guess what? When they're up in front of you, in front of the judge, the dad thinks it's great, the mother thinks it's great, the grandmother thinks it's great, everyone thinks their own opinion, and I really want to get like, what is going on? What's the truth here? So that's what the CASA program has done. And we have that in every county now. We're always looking for volunteers. I see a lot of people out here that would be great volunteers. It does take a lot of commitment. You have to be trained, but it is very fulfilling if you're interested in that type of work. So that's the one thing that I really wanted to have implement, and we did. Ms. Nelson also touched on the on-site drug testing. When those cases come up, a lot of them are drug-related cases, to put it mildly. But I really wanted to know, if I'm removing a child from a home, what is the reason? Drugs mostly? How do I know when after that child's been removed, several months pass, when can I take that child? When can that child go back home? Or should that child not go back home? On-site drug testing provides me with a very, very good tool to realize, are they still using or are they not? So when they come up in front of the judge, they can go immediately to the side room, and we have those come in Lyon County, it's every Wednesday. They are here, and they go and get a hair or nail follicle test or a urine test. And I know what's going on. So no more guessing or what people's telling you, or, I'm off drugs, or I'm not doing this anymore. The drug test just takes all that away, and we just find out exactly what's going on. And that's one thing that was implemented. I'm really proud of that. I hope that continues. I hope we have the funding to continue that, because I think it's instrumental in trying to crack those drug cases with child placement. The other thing that we've started back after COVID is teen court. Teen court is where high school students come to court. They are pretending to be prosecutors, defense attorneys, jury members, bailiffs, clerks. What else? I'm even training some in one county to be a judge on the mock cases, not the real ones. But it's really great. Like, they are into this. I'm into this. I think it's so wonderful. So if it's a real case, it would be a juvenile would come in to the court system, and it would be on minor offenses. So the last one we had was a child pulled the fire alarm at the high school. You know, it's something that needs to be addressed, but is it enough to really start a whole court case and go down that road? So that would be an example of a case that would get referred to teen court. And so when they have the case, they already have pled guilty to it. So the students are just doing the sentencing portion of it. And it's really fascinating. The kids are extremely excited about it. We have it in 3 counties. We have it in Livingston, Lyon, and Trigg County. I'm wanting to do Caldwell. We just have to get a coordinator. But I think the kids are excited. Even in Trigg County, they wanted to, we didn't think we could finish up the year, and they still wanted to meet. Like, they told their teacher, like, we want to meet that last time. And I was like, that's pretty impressive that they, want to do that. But it's really fun, and they have some creative sentencing. They do better sentencing than a judge, I think. I mean, they really do. It's interesting to see it. They hound those peers probably more than a judge would. So it's always interesting and creative to what their sentencing is. And then the last thing that I wanted to do talk about tonight is drug court. We have had a drug court in this jurisdiction for quite some time. I will tell you, during COVID, it was very difficult. We had 12 participants at the time. So this was back, I had done 2019, the full year, and then 2020. So in this jurisdiction, there's 2 district judges, and each do 6 months on drug court and 6 months off drug court. So in 2020, we had 12 participants, like I said, and it really was upsetting to me because we had 3 of those individuals pass away. So when I was looking at that statistic, that is 3 out of 12, that's 25%. One was suicide and 2 were ODs. That was kind of the status of where we were during the pandemic. If you read any newspapers or any news, that took a mental health toll, and it took a toll on our drug court. So that was a really hard time. We still do drug court. We do it by Zoom. I'm wanting to get back into person because I like to see the people and talk to them, and sometimes Zoom isn't just quite as personal, but the state is making us still do Zoom on drug court. But that's one thing that I think it does help. I think that those individuals gain the tools that they need. So many of them just need tools to be able to succeed, and we go through that. In the early phase, they meet with the judge every week, and as they level up, they probably do it like every other week until they're finally graduated the program. So we are looking to have a graduation sometime this year at the end of the summer, hopefully. Okay, well, I guess that is summarize it up. I do want to thank everyone for being here. I also want to thank you all for the support that you've given me in the past. I know that some people have given me notes to encourage me, and I really do save those, and I look at them, and on a bad rainy day when things are going bad, I pull those out, and it does give me encouragement, and I do appreciate the support of Lyon County. Thank you all.
Got a couple questions for you. What is your opinion on the need for a family court in our district, and what would it take to get one?
Well, I think we just received a circuit judge. I think that was more needed than a family court just because of the numbers of how they worked out. They did a study on that and had a committee and found out that Lyon County could perpetuate the cases faster with a general circuit court judge rather than a family court judge. And also, it's important to know a circuit court judge also has jurisdiction for family court. So they can also hear the domestic cases. If you had a family court only, they could only hear the domestic cases, and we really have an influx of criminal cases.
One last question. How often do you deal with domestic violence cases in our county? And what is your opinion on what can be done to decrease this societal crime?
Every time I'm on the bench, I deal with a domestic violence case. I don't think there's been one time that I have not dealt with a domestic violence case. If it is something with maybe a full moon or something. No, seriously, it's every docket. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have the answer to decrease domestic violence. I do think at some point we're going to have to address that because the people, they're coming back to court. They have maybe several cases. I do think it's an issue, but I don't really know how to address it other than just education. But these people do have a right to be in court if they do have fear. And so we have to do what the law says, have to hear those cases. But I don't have a direct answer for that. I don't know what you would do to solve that.
Thank you. Thank you. This concludes our candidates' presentation and questions. Commander Chaplin, would you like to give us your closing remarks?
It's been our pleasure, along with the Herald Ledger, hosting this event for Lyon County. We felt it was our civic duty for this community. I want to personally thank all of the candidates for their time this evening and sharing their thoughts and ideas with us. Now please stand and remove your hats for our benediction. Chaplain.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that was accomplished in this forum. We thank you for your favor and for making us strong. As we end this meeting, we ask that you continue to lead and guide us. In your name we pray. Amen.